a critique of the future. Maybe kids don't need the masters, just to wait devils and little bastards. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, welcome into the
Geeks by Night subbed and dubbed anime book club.
I am one of your co-hosts, Courtney, and I'm joined by my other co-host,
Josh.
who just kind of went too high on the camera, but that's okay. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. We missed last week's episode. We made an announcement everywhere. We posted on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere, saying about an hour before we were actually going to start that we were delaying the podcast. And so now we're going to explain why we delayed episode 3. We got to crunch time right before the podcast and decided that we weren't exactly comfortable with how we've been running the podcast. We don't feel like we're giving you the best quality podcast we could, and so we wanted to make sure we knew exactly how we wanted to run it going forward, and make sure it was at least decent quality, something entertaining to listen to, rather than us kind of just bounce around talking about nothing, trying to think of points in a show. So we made up a focus group to talk about ideas about how to do this, how to run it, and ended up not really coming to a good conclusion with all of that. We had a lot of really cool ideas, which could be future podcasts. We could end up taking like a week off from the regular podcast and do it a little bit differently just to switch it up. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. But the decision we ended up making is that even though during the first 2 episodes we harped on it, we can't do 6 episodes a week. We can't watch 6 episodes of an anime a week and then come into a podcast. We thought it was a really good idea because we both watch anime really fast, but when it comes down to it and you get to the end of the week and you need to talk about 6 episodes at a time, that's too much to remember. That's too much to get specific, get into the details about. And I didn't feel like we would be doing a good job if we continued on that pace, that we would be glossing over a lot. And so what we're going to do from after this episode on is, instead of 6 episodes, we're going to do 3 episodes a week. So it is going to take longer to get through a show, but hopefully the podcast will be better served for that. That remains to be seen. Hopefully we'll find out next week. As for this episode, we are going to talk about FLCL like we planned on, and we are talking about all 6 episodes of that because we both have already watched them all in preparation for the episode that was supposed to go live last week. So whenever we get down to it, we'll be talking about that. But starting next week, it'll be 3 episodes. And we'll get into what we're watching next week here in a little bit. I have a few notes I wanted to get into before we move into that. One of them, you'll probably notice that I'm talking really fast and then I'm going to be really energetic on this episode. And there's a reason for that. I have had 2 Red Bulls and a large Sonic energy drink, the purple one, like Blazenberry or something like that. I don't even know. And a bottle of water to dilute all of that. So I'm like super papped up right now. I'm ready to roll. That's the note about the energy. Second to that, you'll have noticed that the last 3 weeks, our intro has been just random. The first 2 weeks were cut from Soul Eater. The first one was dubbed. The second one was subbed. This one was, what is it, Josh?
Little Busters by the Pillows.
Which is a song from FLCL, a song that both of us love and gets stuck in our head, especially mine. But on that note, we don't have an actual intro. And we find that as a problem because we don't want to get in copyright strikes or anything like that if we continue to do what we've been doing. So what I want to do is I want to ask anybody who listens to our podcasts, if you happen to be okay at developing music, tunes, jingles, things like that, or you know anybody who might be, can you please get them in contact with us? We would love to have somebody make us a 15 to 30 second tune to play at the beginning of every episode. We will pay, so keep that in mind. If you know anybody or if you are good at it, you can get in touch with us by emailing us at contact@geeksbynight.com. That would be a huge help. It doesn't have to be right away if you're busy this week. If you needed 2 weeks to do it or something like that, that's totally fine. Just get in contact with us so we know what's going on. Now, next note, I wanted to say personally, thank anybody who's listening to us, because to my surprise, this podcast, as poorly as I felt I have done on this podcast, this is actually Geeks by Night's most popular podcast out of the two. It absolutely slaughters the Gamescast through digital downloads. Episode 1 ended up having 94 downloads. Episode 2 ended up having 134 downloads, which is like 3 times as many as the Gamescast has had so far in the first 3 episodes. So that's really cool. Thank you guys for listening in. And if you happen to know anybody who likes anime and might be interested in listening to us, even if it's just while they're taking a dump or a shower or something, you should totally recommend us, because that would be super cool.
We'd love to be your dump tune.
Yeah, exactly. But the sad part about all this is that we're not doing as well on YouTube. The Anime Podcast is not doing as well as the Gamescast on YouTube, so if you want to watch our sexy selves talk about anime, you totally can on YouTube. Search for Geeks by Night, search for the whole title of the podcast and stuff. On a note about YouTube, typically it autoplays at 360p. You could totally up it to 720p and see our beautiful faces in HD. Looks a lot better. Just saying. So, I just wanted to thank everybody who listens. If you ever want to come on the podcast as a guest, if you have any suggestions or questions, we totally would love to hear from you guys. Just email us, contact@geeksbynight.com. It's super easy, and we would love to read off things on the podcast. So, now the actual plugs for where you can listen to the podcast. We have great news. Last week was super productive in the podcast uploading sphere. I don't know how you even say it. But now our podcast is basically everywhere. You could find our podcast on Twitch, on YouTube, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on TuneIn Radio, on Podbean, and we have an RSS feed for your podcast catcher. All of those links that I just talked about, those are going to be in the description of the YouTube video. They're going to be in the description of the MP3, so you can find all of that anywhere you look. Anywhere you're watching this podcast, those links are going to be attached to it somehow. So if you would like to subscribe to us, which we would love it if you did, subscribe to us on any of those podcast services. You can do so through any of them. And if you'd like to leave us a review, we'd appreciate that too. We have 2 reviews so far on iTunes for the Gamescast, and they were awesome. We read them off on this week's episode of the Gamescast. It was super cool to do, and thank you guys for any reviews you do end up leaving us. Now, as for when we do this podcast, we are going to do it on Saturdays, as we have been, hopefully every Saturday. Hopefully we won't have too many more breaks. Between 2 and 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 3 and 7 p.m. Eastern. So check out, if you want to check us out live, you can on twitch.tv/geeksbynight. That's when we will be streaming the podcast, and then after we're done, it'll be edited and directly uploaded to the MP3 services or podcast services and YouTube. So hopefully by Saturday evening you'll be able to see them. So this week we're going to be talking about FLCL, like we talked about, but we wanted to announce what we're going to be watching next week and the weeks going forward. Since we decided to cut it down to 3 episodes, it won't be as much to watch by next week if you want to join us. We will be watching Btooom, which, if you haven't heard of it, it is spelled BTOOOM ! And we're going to be watching episodes 1 through 3 next week. So that'll be, let's see, September 5th is when we will be streaming that podcast. So if you want to watch episodes 1 through 3 and join us or submit questions or anything by then, you should. The following week will be episodes 4 through 6. Following week after that will be 7 through 9, and then 10 through 12. And a note on Btooom, you can watch it on Crunchyroll and Hulu. It's available on both of them. Is it dubbed on either of them, or is it just subbed?
I'm not sure. I think it's subbed on both.
Subbed on both? I will try to check. Do you want to give them a tease on what Btoom's like? You've seen a little bit of it so far?
I have. It's a psychological kind of thriller about people getting sucked into a real-life version of a game. And does a really good job of addressing the kind of things that you might go through if you were in such a situation.
Yeah. And so, your thoughts of it so far? You think it's kind of cool? Think it's okay? Or
I like it.
You
I
like
like
it?
it a lot.
it looks like on Hulu it's only subbed, and does Crunchyroll does do dubbed stuff too, right?
I have
Sometimes.
not ever seen it because I
Oh.
only do subbed.
Well, that's true, I guess. Anyways, it's on both of those sites, so if you want to watch it, you can watch it on Crunchyroll or Hulu, or you could find it somewhere else, or you can purchase it anywhere, because it is dubbed. You don't only have to watch it subbed if you are a dub fan like me. But yeah, so we'll be doing that starting next week, so if you want to tune in for that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what have you been watching other than the required anime, Josh?
Other than the required, I have been continuing to watch Durarara as that slowly comes out, season 2, and Gintama as that continues to pop out. Both of which are so good.
I really want to get into Gintama. I hear so many good things about it. I'm so
But
pissed that it's subbed only.
There's so many Japanese things and stuff that I don't really think it'll ever get dubbed.
Yeah. One of the really cool ideas that we ended up having for the podcast was to maybe do a segment where we both watch, or one of us watches like 3 episodes of a show we haven't seen or whatever, and just like give a quick review on it, and like based off the first 3 or 4, and say like, you know, would you recommend continuing watching it, or would you be interested in it, even if it's like dubbed or subbed, the opposite of what we particularly like to watch. So I may end up having to do that with Gintama for a segment. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
The first 3 episodes might be a little hard to get the picture of, but you could.
Okay. What I've been watching, other than anime, I finished watching Falling Skies. Well, I caught up watching Falling Skies, the newest season. It's the final season, which I just found out. I'm 9 episodes into the 10-episode final season. Got to episode 9 and found out it was the finale was this week. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know that. So upset. I love Falling Skies. I watched episode 1 of Fear the Walking Dead. Totally loved it. I finished watching Eureka 7 last week. And now I'm watching Eureka 7 AO, which I have seen that already, but it's been a year or so since I've seen it, so I don't really remember it. So I'm about probably 6 episodes from finishing AO, and as soon as I finish that, I'm going to watch, it's called, sorry, it's a weird name, Eureka 7, the Japanese name is Pocket Full of Rainbows, but the English name is Good Night, Sleep Tight, Young Lovers. And it's the Eureka 7 movie. It's like a retelling of the story, in an alternate universe. I've seen it before also over a year ago, and it was really, really good. So I'm going to rewatch it and before I move on to my next show, which I don't know what's going to be yet, other than the required watching, you know. So, do you have plans on anything else you're going to watch after?
I don't know. I need to start something. I haven't really decided what it's going to be
You do need
yet.
to start something. You don't have any ideas?
No, man. I never have any ideas. I just kind of go through my list and randomly pick out 3 and then like chop down until I am left with 1.
Chop
I don't
down
have a
to
good
one.
I don't have a good process, man. I just watch anime.
You just watch anime. I typically don't have a like methodical way of choosing what I'm going to watch. I just whatever sounds good. If somebody recommends it, or if I happen to see something, I'll watch it. I haven't really done research on what to watch next in a few years. When I used to try to find only romantic anime. All right, so let's. I'm hearing an echo coming through your mic. Let's move into the news segment, the anime news segment. What do we got?
So we have almost 30 anime. 30 are in IMDb's top 250 TV series of all time.
30. Damn.
30 anime in the best shows ever. That's fantastic.
Where did you find this out?
I found this on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
Because they got all that anime news. So, the first one, number 246, Fooly Cooly.
Fooly Cooly.
Show we just watched.
Yeah. FLCL,
Perfect,
baby.
man.
I am hearing an echo still, so can you mute and unmute or something? All right.
How about now?
Let's see. I'm still hearing an echo. Damn it. Okay, whatever. We'll keep going. So, number 225 on the top 250 is Detective Conan. Love that show.
213, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
Gurren Lagann. That's a really funny one. I love that one. Okay, so we went through this list earlier, and I pointed out that I've only not seen one of the top 30, which is awesome.
I've seen 9 of them.
Number 205, one of my all-time favorites, Trigun.
177, Hellsing Ultimate.
Number 159 is Mushishi.
158, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
Number 143 is Monster.
141, Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah, one of the first I ever watched. Number 134, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
128, Yu Yu Hakusho.
One of the first I saw too. Number 120, Samurai Champloo.
I actually watched that one, guys.
That's a good one.
106, Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep. Number 92, Berserk.
Number 91, Code Geass Lelouch of the Rebellion, specifically Season 1.
Code Geass, by the way.
Whatever.
And it's worth mentioning that over half of this list is in the top 100 shows of all time. So that's a lot in the top 100. That's awesome. Number 87, Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Number 85, Steins Gate.
I was actually thinking about rewatching that soon. That might be the next one I rewatch. Number 78, Hunter x Hunter. Is it Hunter and Hunter, or is it Hunter Hunter or Hunter x Hunter? Do you know?
I think it's Hunter Hunter. I don't know why, but I think it is.
I always have that problem with these because some of them actually do pronounce it. Some of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like Romeo and Juliet. It's just Romeo and Juliet, but it's Romeo x Juliet. Like all one word, no space either.
That's confusing.
Yeah,
Why
I know.
do they do that?
So I call it Romeo x Juliet.
Romeo x Juliet. Number 76, Dragon Ball North American version.
Number 71, Dragon Ball Japanese version.
That's really strange that they separate that like that. How different are they? Anyway, 66, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, Season 2.
Season 2. I actually like Season 1 better than Season 2. I like the entire show, but Season 1 is better in my opinion.
I agree.
Number 63, One Piece.
Number 57, already, Attack on Titan.
Number 48, Dragon Ball Z, the Japanese version.
Number 44, Dragon Ball Z, the North American version.
Number 32 is Death Note.
Number 28, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
And number 24, the top anime on the 250 list of shows, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah.
Shocking.
Cowboy Bebop and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I am absolutely not surprised those are the number 1 and 2. Just not surprised whatsoever. I would probably recommend those over anything else. If you're not an anime fan, how do you get somebody into anime? You show them the best. And then you tell them, now not all of them are this good, but this is the best. This is what you're getting yourself into. Things like this. So that's really cool. I mean, if there's a lot of things you could take away from news like this. Hey, Voids is in the chat. Hey, Voids.
Hey.
Again, like we mentioned earlier, if you want to join us in the chat while we stream the podcast, you can, twitch.tv/geeksbynight. But anyways, you can take away a lot of things from this kind of news. And one of them, the one that I immediately take away, is that anime is becoming more and more popular. Anime is finally starting to latch on. I mean, it has been for a decade. It's slowly been picking up. But it is starting to really latch on, just like I've said multiple times on podcasts in the past, not on this, but nerd culture, geek culture is winning. It has won the war. You see superhero movies. You see movies like the Dragon Ball Z movie breaking records. You see all of these movies being the top grossing movies every year now. It's just like, we have won. We can finally stop, with the whole, oh, I can't talk about anime in public because people will hate me. Like, people will think I'm stupid. I now own almost exclusively just anime and video game t-shirts. Like all my old shirts are sport shirts and stuff, but I just wear all of my anime and video game shirts all the time now and don't give a fuck who sees me because it doesn't matter anymore. Like if they don't like it, so be it. But if they call me out on them, I'm going to call them out on being fat and stupid. Like we're fucking just as cool. I love the fact that there are 30 anime ranked in the top 250 shows of all time. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just the other day when I was in class, I actually heard a couple of guys behind me going like, dude, did you see that episode of Sword Art Online? Dude, that was dope. And I was just like, yes. Yes.
Yes, I did.
It's made it.
Now, see, another cool thing about this is that this is a good list that you can recommend to friends.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the top 2, but you can be like, hey, there's a reason these 30 are ranked in the top 250 of all time. There is a really good reason. And this could be Levi or Levis Teacup. I don't know. Somebody in the chat said being fat and stupid, making fun of my comment. This is a good list, Josh. Since you said that you've only seen 9 of them, this is a good list. You should go through and watch some of these. Now, you don't have to choose Dragon Ball Z since it's so long, and you don't like the animation. I know that. But there are shows on here that you haven't seen that are shorter than that, so you should totally do that. Levi's Teacup from Attack on Titan. Oh! Okay. Huh. I'm sorry. I get it now. Well. Anyways. So, do you have anything else to say about the top 30?
I do not.
You do not. Okay, so a note about the news in this segment. Josh and I don't typically peruse anime news very often. As you'll have noticed, we haven't had a lot of big news stories every week. If you are an anime fan and you do pay attention to news and you do think there is a big news segment that you would like us to talk about, let us know. Because we don't check it on the daily, and some of you do or may do that. And if you see one that's really big or really cool or you'd like us to talk to, all you got to do is copy that link and email us, contact@geeksbynight.com. Email us that news story. We'll make sure to throw it on next week's podcast episode, and we'll talk about it. That's all you got to do, and we will make sure to cover it. Just because we don't cover it enough, and we should, but we don't. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this is Geeks by Night, which means I do a lot during the day. I don't have time. As Josh has come to find out, I've barely been able to speak to him lately because I've been so busy at work. I know. He's going to cry.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yes. So, now let's move into the segment where I'm going to make Josh talk for the majority of the time. Now we're going to move into the book club discussion, which, again, this is going to be the last time we do a full 6-episode book club discussion. Starting next week, it is only going to be 3 episodes, but this week we're going to talk about all 6 episodes of FLCL. So bear with us. It may be a little bit rough because it's been over a week since either of us have seen the series. We have a lot of notes on it. We're going to talk about it. But if you have any questions, if you're in the chat about FLCL or any topics or anything you want to talk to us about FLCL, feel free to say something, and we'll make sure to talk about it and address that. But for now, we're going to try and go through. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and skip to the topics, the favorite moment and character of the week before we get into the episodes.
All right.
That'd be a good starting point. Maybe it'll bring up some good discussions. So, Josh, what was your favorite moment from FLCL?
My favorite moment was when Naoto tells Mamimi that it's him that's going to save her, not his stupid brother.
Yeah.
Because he finally got up the courage to say that. And I must note that I super ship Naoto and Mamimi, even though it doesn't happen.
You super what?
I ship them.
You ship them? What the hell does that mean?
You don't know what shipping is?
No.
You watch anime and you don't know what shipping is?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
That's what everyone says when I ship Hinata and Naruto. I ship Sakura and Naruto.
I've never heard that. I'm sorry.
That's insane, dude.
I also don't keep up with anime discussions on Facebook groups and stuff like that. So that's and stuff like that. I mentioned that
Now
twice.
you know.
Yeah. I guess I do. So you don't even ship. Okay, so you really liked Naoto and Mamimi.
Yes.
I did too, actually. So that, to me, was also a really cool moment. So FLCL is a lot like... it's a lot about Naoto growing up. And not growing up in a sense, or not growing up just overall, but growing up and realizing what growing up is about. Because he thought it was one thing... life is boring, life is stupid, blah, blah, blah. Nothing ever happens, he says several times. But he grows up, and this is that one moment where he really realizes that he needs to take control and all that. So I like that moment as well. In the chat, I ship Aaron and Levi. How do you not know what shipping is? Rancid Beast, I ship Natsu and Lucy. Oh my fucking god, yes. I like
Aaron
Natsu and
and
Lucy
Levi.
also. Not Aaron and Levi, that's gross.
Oh gosh. Why?
Hey, we got another one. Oyunsal Video Lar. Hey, what's up? If you have any questions or any topics about FLCL you want us to talk about right now, go ahead and bring it up in the chat.
We could really use the help.
So why did you like that moment?
Because of like what you were saying, it was Naoto growing up, realizing what he really kind of wanted, and finally, I don't know, coming out to Mamimi more than just sitting there like, whatever, do what you want to do. I don't like those bitter drinks.
Why are you about to overflow? What does that even mean? Oh, okay. Yeah. My favorite moment, and there's actually two moments during the show, is the meta manga scenes. Like, it'll be normal animation in the show, and it'll be a normal scene, and then all of a sudden they'll switch over to this manga, like a page out of a manga, and it'll go from scene to scene to scene, and the voiceover will get like super fast and really outrageous. And it's both times it's when they're at his home with his family, his grandpa and his dad, and it's super funny because after the second one during the second one I think he talks about how the audience didn't like us doing the manga scene the first time, blah blah blah. We shouldn't be doing it, but blah blah. It's so funny because they go meta during it, and it's absolutely outrageous. I love those two scenes. They're really funny.
Yeah, when the second one ends, in the background while he's saying that we got to go just back to straight animation, you see some black cloaked figures walking away with the manga pages.
Yeah.
So it's like they just put the camera on it and panned up and down.
Yeah, those scenes really got me. They made me crack up. Let's see, are there any other really cool moments you enjoyed?
Oh, well, all of the moments where Little Bus just hits and he goes inside of Kanti-sama.
Yep.
Especially like the first one where it's just out of nowhere and he's like getting sucked in and he gets eaten and you're like, no. Oh, it's good.
Oh, whereas like Kanti's mouth is all like clawed like teeth or whatever, it just like eats him up and sucks him in. Yeah, that's so fucking funny. And and on top of that, when he's done, he poops him out. Naoto's a turd on the ground, and he's like all slimy. I think Mamimi's there too, isn't she? She's like, ew, why are you slimy? It's so funny. Oh, okay. So based off of our few moments there that we've talked about, if you haven't seen FLCL and you're listening to this on iTunes or wherever, or you're watching this on YouTube, you should totally check it out because it is freaking outrageous. For a 6-episode show, it is just absolutely crazy.
More happens in that 6 episodes than most shows that have 26 episodes.
Yes, they do. Okay, now, as for favorite characters of the week, who did you like the best character-wise?
Naoto, Takun, Taro. All Naoto.
That's one thing about the show is like everybody has different nicknames, like 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Takun is not only his nickname, it's Mamimi's nickname for the cat too, right?
The cat, and then eventually the little robot thing that she's got going around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good character. My only problem was just how he was during the first part of the series. It was just like, dude, come on. Which I know is the point.
Yeah. But like, I love the fact that like he always just looked like, I'm the most G swag guy ever. And he's just always got this face on like, I don't need to deal with this. He's like the most grown up 10-year-old or whatever ever.
Yeah. Is he 10?
I have no idea. He looks 10, but he's probably not 10 because it's anime.
12, if I remember correctly, but who knows? I'll look it up. My favorite character is Conti, which is the robot that comes out of Naoto's head in the first episode. The first robot that comes out of his head in the first episode, and which is absolutely outrageous. Yeah, he's a 12-year-old, by the way. Yeah, Conti is a robot with like a TV for a face, for a head, and he, spoilers, ends up being like savior. He ends up being the alien guy that
Space pirate.
Yeah, that what's her name?
Atomsk.
No. I meant the girl.
Haruko,
yeah, that she's been after the entire series, and he's actually just been hiding inside Conti the entire series. But Conti, or as Mamimi calls him, Lord Conti, because of her video game, is he's super funny. He's always doing like this random stuff, like searching through rubble and stuff, and just it's so funny. And he does chores for Naoto's family, and he fucks it up. He never does it right or whatever. And like during the first episode or the second episode, he's like, no, it's the first episode because I wrote down notes. Let's see, where is it? Robot comes out of a forehead, and then he makes bread. So they have him making bread in the first episode, and it's so weird, so funny. But he ends up being a badass robot that saves the world. Okay, so those are the two segments we have to do about the series itself. Now, let's talk about random things about the series itself. And this is why we don't want to do 6 episodes going forward, because bringing up random points for 6 whole episodes is really hard to do. Much easier to do for 2 or 3 episodes, so that'll hopefully work its way out.
And we'll have more of a focus than what we have right now.
And we also won't have finished the entire series in one go, so we'll be able to talk about, what's coming next. Like, what do you think is going to happen next? Things like that. But right now, since we've seen all of FLCL, we know how it ends.
Yeah.
Spoilers. It ends. Okay, so first thing I was going to bring up about the series itself, the soundtrack.
Oh, my goodness.
Not only the song we played at the beginning, but man, that soundtrack is just excellent.
Mm-hmm. A good portion of it, almost all of it, is by the Pillows.
And who are they? Do you know?
I'm not really sure. They're a Japanese band.
You just like their music?
Yeah. It's like their Fooly Cooly music.
Artists are the Pillows and Shinkichi Mitsumune. So those are the 2 artists who sing the soundtrack. And just about every song on that is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So if you need a good soundtrack, an anime soundtrack to listen to, absolutely look up the FLCL soundtrack. It's really good. Last week me and Josh were playing a game, or we were streaming something. I don't even remember what it was. And I just kept freaking singing that...
Little Busters.
Yeah, Little Busters over and over and over, and he just kept laughing at me. He's like, it's stuck in your head. It's stuck in your head. I'm like, I know. Anything you want to bring up?
I like all the different growth moments throughout the show. One in particular, when he finally swings. That one's a big one.
When he finally swing. Oh, the bat. Or
the guitar in the end. But yeah.
Set that scene up. What's happening in that scene?
A giant satellite is coming to the town to explode everything and kill all the peoples. So Haruko takes Takun up to the top of Medical Mechanica, which is kind of the bad place where the bad guys are of the show that really never appear. But anyways, so they go up there. She reaches into his head to pull something out again. It's a guitar. Every girl in the show nose starts bleeding. We're not going to explain why. And he has to hit it, which he's never swung a bat before because his brother is a baseball star. He looks up to his brother, but I don't know if it's like he doesn't want to try and see if he's at his brother's level or what, but he always carries a bat, but he can't ever swing it. And finally, with Haruko's persuading, he swings it, starts to hit it, is pushing back. She comes and helps. They blow it out of the park.
Cranks it.
Yeah.
Nails it out. Yeah, that's a really cool moment. Another good growing moment for him. I like how, what's his name, with the seaweed eyebrows? He's like, he finally swung, or he really did it. It was just like, yeah, he's awesome. He's totally awesome. I'm looking through your notes. You have so many typos in here.
Most of them were on purpose.
Okay.
I was just trying to make it as dumb as possible.
So let's go to the first episode. You're on the first episode, and Naoto's fucking walking across the bridge or whatever, and here comes Haruko on her freaking Vespa motor scooter. He drills his ass, absolutely drills his ass, and he's like rolling around on the ground and looks like he's dead. And then she's like, gives him mouth to mouth, and Mamimi like freaks the fuck out about it, and like almost orgasms, it seems like. And then he gets back up, and Haruko's like, "What? No!" And then freaking nails him in the face with her freaking guitar. At that point, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? I remember watching this as like a 11-year-old and not having any idea what the fuck was going on, not knowing if I was just stupid or if it was supposed to be random. And, oh, God, what a fantastic way to start the show, because it's just so outrageous and is it leads you into what's going to happen, very premonition-wise of how crazy everything's going to get. Rancid Beast in the chat asks, what genre of anime is it? It's comedy / sci-fi. Yeah. It's got a lot of sci-fi stuff in it, but it's very comedic. A lot of jokes, a lot of just funny moments, a lot of awkward moments. And not necessarily about the genre, but I was going to bring up that the show doesn't make a whole lot of sense the first time you watch it. I've seen it now 4 or 5 times in my entire life and had still never understood exactly what was going on. You know, you pick up little bits and pieces every time, but you can't really understand the entirety of it unless you're looking specifically to figure everything out. But lucky for us, there are some gentlemen and ladies out there who decided to do that for everyone. Who decided to decipher the entire story, come up with the synopsis and all that stuff. And they have written out a description, like a full-on what happens during the show and why and what are people's motivations and things like that. So like a full explanation of the story. And so after Josh and I got done watching it, I sent him that story, and we both read through it. How do you feel after reading that?
Like, things actually make sense, and it's not really as random as you think.
Yeah. Like, I read through it before we were supposed to record last week, and was all of a sudden just like, brain exploding, like, whoa, all of that actually does fit together. Things I didn't notice, little one-liners that somebody would drop in, like, actually is super, super important to the overall story. And which if you want to take it one way, goes to show you how good the show actually is, that you don't have to understand it to enjoy the show itself. The show itself on the surface is a very, very good, funny show, but it's very random. But if you do understand the story and you go back and rewatch it after reading something like this, you'll actually see the story for what it is, the overall sci-fi aspect of the story, and it's really cool. Really, really cool. I just thought it was a funny show at first, but now I understand the deeper part of the story. So
Yeah.
absolutely recommend, if you don't understand it, if you have seen it already, you should totally look that up. Just Google FLCL explained, and there's a blog post about it. There's a few of them, and they will do all explaining for you, and it's awesome. Other notes you've noticed, or things you noticed?
Naoto is a player.
Naoto's a player?
Yes, he is. He's got Mamimi. He's got Haruko, sort of. I mean, that's more like she's playing him. But and he has Nina Mori, which is unfortunately who he seems to be with near the end.
Nina Mori, that is the schoolgirl, his classmate?
Yes.
You say unfortunately he seems to be with her?
Yes.
I actually liked her the most. I mean, I like Mamimi. You moved your camera up a little bit. I like Mamimi, but at the same time, she was just so weird. Like, oh, I'm about to overflow, Naoto. Oh my god. It was just like, what are you doing? You're like a, 18 or 20-year-old girl or something hitting on a 12-year-old? Or I don't even know. It's really weird.
I mean, that part's weird. But see, when I watched it, just because the characters is hard to really tell,
Yeah.
I thought it was like, like a 12 and 14. Like, I thought it was a lot closer than it seems to be.
Let's see. Mamimi is 17-year-old. So she's to a 12-year-old. That's still quite a bit, but
yeah.
Which is, I do find it funny that she's hung up on his brother, but his brother, if you've noticed, had actually broken up with her and got a blonde girlfriend in America since he's playing baseball over there. And it's just a really weird afterthought. Like, they very briefly brush over that fact in the show.
Yeah. I assume the manga is probably where they get all this extra information that we're missing.
Well, that, and when you're reading the manga, there's this very different pace at which you go through things. And so you can take your time in a manga and read everything slowly and go back over panels and read them. While in an anime, it's a little bit harder. It's not impossible, obviously, to go backwards.
Right.
But people say things so fast that sometimes they just get left behind and you don't even realize it, which is harder to do in a manga. It's harder to forget about them or skip over them. But yeah, you may be right on that. Anything else you want to talk about?
No particular points.
I think it's funny that Haruko is trying to find a forehead which she could bring robots through during the show, and she hits Naoto. Naoto's head works, and then she tries to find somebody else because Naoto's classmate, whatever her name was you mentioned,
Inamori.
Yeah, her forehead works also, and so she thinks that she could probably do it with anybody, and so she does it to his dad, and his dad's forehead doesn't work, and so she basically stuffs him in this like fucking underneath a shelf closet thing under a bed or something, and makes a clone robot of him or something. And it's just so weird. Like, that whole episode, I had no idea what was happening.
That was probably the most confusing part of the whole show.
It was really weird.
Even when, after reading the explanation, that part's still like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Because, like, Naoto walks in on them, and they're making noises, and he thinks that his dad is fucking her. And he's, like, pissed off. He's like, what? You met me first. You said it was me. Why anybody else? And he gets super pissed about it. And later on finds out that it was a robot all along, and his dad basically looks like he's dead because he's been starving to death wherever he's been hidden by her. And it's just, it's so weird. Oh, man.
And, he's fine with that.
Yeah.
Later on, she's just there with them again.
Whatevs. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, stuffed me in a closet. That's nothing new.
Let's talk about the final episode before we wrap up.
The FL's climax.
Yeah, I was gonna say they really smartly or intelligently named this episode FLCL IMAX, so FL Climax. Really cool. But during this episode, man, you find out a lot. About Medical Mechanica, which is a organization who is being ran in the giant iron in the town. How they've been developing robots and how they've been storing the guy who's in Conti, which is like the Pirate King. You find out that Haruko doesn't give a fuck about human life. She doesn't care whatsoever about Naoto. And the second that the Pirate King is absorbed by Naoto, she turns on him and goes ape shit on Naoto and is so pissed and wants to fucking kill him. And you just, right then and there, I started to not like her. I was just like, never mind, she's not cool. She's not cool anymore. I hate her. She never cared about Naoto. She's been using him all along. So she is ruthless and an asshole. I don't like her. Don't like her at all.
And then he goes and confesses his love to her.
Yep. And doesn't he kiss her?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And she brushes him off, right? Like, you're a 12-year-old.
I mean, she at least shows like she respected what he did, kind of. But then she goes, "Oh, you're a kid. You stopped me from getting Atomsk powers. I'm out of here."
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah, the Pirate King's power basically leaves Naoto's body and flies away into space. And so at the very end, Naoto he wants to go with her. He's like, why won't you take me with you? And she's like, she at first considers it for a really brief second. Yeah. And then it's like, you know what? You're still a kid, whatever. And then takes off. And there's this really, really epic scene. Like, where Mamimi comes out of a pile of trash, rubble, with her camera and looks up and sees Naoto holding the guitar, which you could see between our cameras on the video version, holding the guitar, looking up, watching her as she flies away. It's just this awesome silhouette of him. Really, really cool picture. Which if you did notice that on the video, I'm hopefully going to, if I have enough time, I want to do something like that for every episode based on what we're watching, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So since we did finish the show, we have to review it. Well, how would you review this anime? How about let's do this? Let's not rate anime anymore. Let's go absolutely must watch, stay away, or give it 3 episodes. Something like that. Like a give it a shot, like that's the middle, or it's a stay away, or absolutely watch the entire thing. How about let's do that? Let's just be very, very simple about it. Because scoring it, who cares about scores? Yeah. Scoring is stupid.
All right, I'll double up for it because if you watch anime, absolutely must watch. It's 6 episodes. It's hilarious. It's got all sorts of anime tropes and things that you'll be familiar with. It's fantastic. If you don't watch anime, you must at least give this 3 episodes. And by the time you've given it 3 episodes, if you don't love it, you're still like, hey, there's only 3 episodes left and you're going to watch it all anyways.
True.
So what I'm saying is watch it.
So you're saying absolutely watch it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this podcast, you're probably an anime fan. If you're not an anime fan, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe you just really like us.
You think my face is pretty?
Probably that. So I'm going to go along the same lines. There's a reason why FLCL is on the top 250 shows of all time. It's really good. Really funny and super deep if you want to take the time to learn what's going on. So on our three option scale, I'm going with you absolutely must watch the show. It's really good. 6 episodes will only take you 2 hours if you just want to knock it out. You'll be hella confused watching it that fast, but it's awesome. And it's a show that you can rewatch so many times because it is so short. And the soundtrack itself almost makes it worth it. So just by itself, awesome show. And we didn't get any emails submitted with questions this week. So we're going to go ahead and skip over that. We're going to skip over the listener questions segment this week. So if you have any questions you want to submit to us, go ahead and email us, contact@geeksbynight.com, or tune in live to the podcast, twitch.tv/geeksbynight on Saturday afternoons between 2 and 6. That's where we'll be streaming it, and you can ask questions there. But since we're skipping the listener questions, we're going to go straight into the Geeks by Night threesome, which this week, what is it?
It is, which 3 anime characters would you not trust with your wallet?
Did you come up with this one? Was this?
I did.
Okay.
Of course I did.
Josh came up with this one. So, I'll go ahead and go first since you came up with it.
Alrighty.
Number three, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. Number 3, I would not trust Haruko from FLCL. She's fucking crazy. I just nope. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Neko from K.
Why would you not?
She is obsessed with food, so she would instantly want to spend it all on food.
Good reason.
And she really doesn't understand the consequences of any of her actions, so she wouldn't really feel bad about it either. So it'd just be straight up, I'm getting some food.
Fair enough.
Number 2.
Number 2 person I would not trust with my wallet, Shao Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist.
Shao Tucker.
He is the one with Nina and the dog. He's the dad. Without spoiling Full Metal Alchemist, for those of you who have not seen it, Shao Tucker does not... he doesn't really care about anything other than forwarding his career. And that even... He doesn't care for his family. He doesn't care for his reputation. He doesn't care for anything. So if I gave him my wallet, he would fucking use that shit in a heartbeat if it was going to help him move forward. So no way I would trust him.
Oh, man. How is that not the number 1? Alright, my number 2 is Naruto.
Naruto?
He can't hold on to his own money.
Yeah,
He's going to Ichiraku Ramen.
that's true.
As soon as he gets my wallet, he's going to Ichiraku Ramen, and we all know how many bowls of ramen he can eat.
A lot.
My goodness.
Ichiraku's basically stays alive because of him.
Yeah, literally.
All right, number 1. My number 1 person I would not trust with my wallet, and this one's a funny one, Excalibur from Soul Eater.
Why?
Because in order to get it back, I would have to go through his freaking stories, however many, 1,000 stories, I don't even remember. I would have to go through that giant list and sign his contract to get it back and all that stupid stuff. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to get my wallet back. So I would not trust him.
Oh, man. That turned out more of a reasonable explanation than I thought it could be.
I had a good list, right?
All right, my number 1 is Gintoki from Gintama.
Why?
Because he runs the odd jobs, and they get jobs plenty of the time. But, almost no one seems to have any money, because they never have any money. They can't pay their rent. He can't buy his jump. He can't pay his workers. So as soon as he gets my wallet, he's going to go buy his Shonen Jump and maybe, for the first time ever, pay Kagura and Shinpachi. Maybe.
Maybe. That reminds me also of Cowboy Bebop, because they're a group of space pirates. Nice. They're a group of space pirates who can't ever keep money. They're always on the lookout for money. They always have repairs and stuff to do, and then they waste it on all kinds of stuff. And it's just it's always this search for money to stay alive. And just I wouldn't trust any of them with my wallet because they would spend it like that. And it would probably be for cigarettes and alcohol or something. It's just it wouldn't even be worth it. In the chat, we've got some answers. Rancid Beast says Launch from Dragon Ball. I don't remember Launch. I'll have to Google that. And he also says Nami from One Piece. And I asked for reasons, but he didn't give any reasons for that. Rancid Beast says Nami is obsessed with money, and in order to get money back, she would charge me 1 billion berries. Okay. Launch is a blonde girl from Dragon Ball. blonde and blue-haired girl. She changes. She's really weird. That's a good one too, and that's a good reason for
spend
Nami.
it all on hair dye.
No, she has two personalities. She's a split personality. Her explanation on here says, is a woman with a strange disorder which causes her to switch between two different personalities each time she sneezes. Her first personality is a sweet blue-haired woman who is pure-hearted. Her other personality is an angry, trigger-happy, blonde-haired woman who commits crimes for money and is quick to respond with gunfire when angered. And she doesn't remember her actions when she switches back and forth. The Voids says he wouldn't trust any cat in any anime because they're a cat.
Why? Because they're a cat.
It's a good reason. It's a good reason. Meow. Or wait, what was it? Woof? What show was that from? It was a show on Netflix. I'll look it up real quick. But as I'm looking it up, in the show there's a girl who is from a different planet, and she constantly goes woof, and it's just so weird but so funny every time she does it. It's from Lagrange, The Flower of Rene. It's a really good show, really cool. But that wraps up our Geeks by Night threesome. If you have any ideas for a threesome you want us to do in the future, email us. We will totally take any ideas, any cool things there. We love coming up with these and coming up with reasons. Last episode we did our top 3 anime openings, which
that was good.
I chose Btooom as one of them, and now Josh knows why. So that wraps up episode 3 of the
Geeks by Night Subbed and Dubbed Anime Book Club.
Yeah. We will be back live again next Saturday between 2 and 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 3 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be at twitch.tv/geeksbynight. We will be watching episodes 1 through 3 of Btooom, which again are available on Crunchyroll and Hulu. If you want to watch those episodes and tag along with us, if you want to send us any topics, if you want to send us any questions about it that we could talk about next week when we do talk about it, feel free to. You can reach us at contact@geeksbynight.com. And then if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can also submit questions or topic ideas there, which is at @nightlygeeks. And then on Facebook at facebook.com/geeksbynight. And then all of our links to find this podcast anywhere on the internet are going to be included everywhere. There's iTunes, there's Stitcher, there's Podbean, there's TuneIn Radio, there's YouTube. All those links will be attached in the description everywhere we post this. So if you want to subscribe anywhere, we really appreciate it. And please recommend us to any friends you might think who would be interested in an anime podcast. It would be awesome. We love to see our viewer count go up. And super surprised it's already as high as it is. So thank you guys for listening. Super awesome.
Arigato.
Arigato. We still don't have a good closing yet.
No.
If you have a closing idea for us. All right, so that was episode 3. We will talk to you again next week on episode 4 where we talk about Btooom. Peace.
With a kick of the future, maybe kicks from needs and masters, just to wait the and little bastards. Oh yeah.